Picture this. It's 1975. A 6-year-old boy wakes up, gets dressed, makes his own breakfast, and walks to school. Alone. Through busy Tokyo streets. No parent, no supervision. His mother waves goodbye from the doorway and goes back inside. This wasn't neglect. This wasn't unusual. This was Tuesday. Today, if you let your 6-year-old walk to school alone in most countries, someone would call Child Protective Services. But in 1970s Japan, it was expected. In fact, almost everything Japanese kids did in the 70s would raise eyebrows today, or get their parents arrested. From working in family shops to buying cigarettes at the store, childhood. In 1970s, Japan operated under completely different rules. Today, we're counting down the things Japanese kids did every single day. That would be considered dangerous, irresponsible, or straight up illegal in the modern world. Let's dive in. The 1970s in Japan was a unique time for childhood. The country was experiencing rapid economic growth. Cities were expanding. Technology was advancing. But childhood itself was still traditional. Parents believed in independence. Schools believed in discipline. Society believed kids needed to learn through experience, even if that experience involved risk. The result? A generation of children who had freedoms modern kids can barely imagine, but also responsibilities that would horrify modern parents. If you're enjoying this look back at Japan's past, hit that like button and subscribe to Japan Time Capsule. We're preserving these forgotten stories, one video at a time. All right, let's count them down. Number 1, walking to school alone at 6 years old. In 1970s, Japan, first graders, Roku Nensei, would walk to school by themselves or in small groups of neighborhood kids. No adults, no supervision. We're talking 6 and 7-year-olds navigating busy streets, crossing intersections, walking past strangers, completely on their own. Parents would teach their kids the route once or twice, and then that was it. You were on your own. And here's the thing. Nobody thought twice about it. It was just how things were done. Independence started young. Some kids walked for 20 minutes, some for 40 minutes. Rain or shine, summer or winter, they walked. Why was this normal? Japanese society had incredibly low crime rates. Neighborhoods were tight-knit. Shopkeepers and residents would keep an eye out. There was a collective sense of responsibility. But today, in most Western countries, this would be considered child endangerment. Parents have been investigated, even arrested for letting kids walk alone before age 12. Japan still practices this to some degree, but even there, it's becoming less common. Helicopter parenting has arrived. In the 70s, though, 6-year-olds were walking to school like it was no big deal, because to them, it wasn't. Number 2, playing on construction sites. Japan in the 1970s was building constantly. Tokyo, Osaka, everywhere was under construction. New buildings, new roads, new infrastructure. And where did kids play? On those construction sites. After workers left for the day, kids would climb over fences or just walk right in and turn construction sites into playgrounds. They'd climb steel beams, jump over piles of dirt, explore half-finished buildings. No hard hats, no safety gear, just kids being kids. Parents knew. Everyone knew, and nobody stopped them. Why? Because construction sites were everywhere. You couldn't keep kids away from all of them. And besides, it was seen as adventurous. Kids learning to assess risk. Kids having fun. Today, this would be a lawsuit waiting to happen. Trespassing, child endangerment, massive liability. But in the 70s, construction workers would sometimes wave at kids playing nearby. As long as you didn't touch the machinery or cause damage, people looked the other way. It's hard to imagine now, but this was completely normal. Entire generations of Japanese adults have memories of playing on construction sites as kids. And yes, accidents happened. Broken bones, cuts, scrapes. But that was considered part of growing up. Different times. Number 3. Swimming in rivers and oceans without any adults around. In 1970s, Japan, especially in rural areas and suburbs, kids would go swimming in rivers, lakes, and beaches. With no lifeguards, no parents, nobody watching. Groups of kids, sometimes as young as 7 or 8, would just decide, let's go swimming, grab their towels and head to the nearest body of water. They'd spend hours in the water, diving off rocks, jumping from bridges, swimming out far from shore. No life jackets, no swimming lessons required, no adult supervision whatsoever. And this wasn't considered reckless. It was considered normal childhood. Why did parents allow this? Because kids were expected to know their limits. If you couldn't swim well, you stayed in shallow water. If the current looked strong, you didn't go in. Personal responsibility started young. Of course, tragedies happened, drownings occurred. But the cultural attitude was, life has risks. You teach kids to be careful, and then you let them experience the world. Today, this would be unthinkable in most places. Unsupervised children swimming in open water. That's neglect by modern standards. But in 1970s Japan, it was summer vacation. If you're loving these glimpses into old Japan, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more to discover. Number 4, kids buying cigarettes and alcohol for their parents. This one shocks people the most. In 1970s Japan, it was completely normal for a child, sometimes as young as 8 or 9, to walk to the neighborhood store and buy cigarettes or beer for their parents. The parent would give them money and say, "Go get me a pack of cigarettes." And the kid would just go do it. Shopkeepers would sell to them without hesitation. Everyone knew the cigarettes were for the parents, not the kid. It was a common errand, like buying milk or bread. Same with alcohol. A kid would walk into a liquor shop, buy a bottle of sake or beer, and walk home with it. No questions asked. Why was this allowed? Because Japanese society operated on trust. Shopkeepers knew the families. They knew the kids weren't going to smoke or drink. They were just helping their parents. It was a sign of responsibility. Parents trusted their kids with this task, and kids took it seriously. But by the 1990s, this started to change. Laws became stricter. Vending machines required age verification. And the cultural attitude shifted. Today, this would be illegal everywhere. A shopkeeper selling cigarettes to a child, even for their parent, would face serious consequences. But in the 70s, it was just another errand. Number 5, working in family businesses after school and on weekends. In 1970s, Japan, if your family owned a shop, a restaurant, or any small business, you worked there. No exceptions. Kids as young as 7 or 8 would help out after school. Sweeping floors, restocking shelves, serving customers, washing dishes, whatever needed to be done. This wasn't a summer job. This was daily life. And it wasn't optional. You finished school, came home, dropped your bag, and went straight to work. Maybe you got an hour to do homework, maybe you didn't. Parents didn't pay their kids. This wasn't about money. This was about family responsibility. The business supported the family, so everyone contributed. From a modern perspective, this looks like child labor, and technically, it was. Today, there are strict laws about how many hours children can work, what tasks they can perform, and how much they must be paid. Most countries prohibit kids under 14 from working at all, even in family businesses. But in 1970s Japan, this was expected. It taught kids responsibility, work ethic, and the value of contributing to the family. Many Japanese adults today credit this experience with shaping their strong work ethic. But would it fly today? Absolutely not. Number 6, staying home alone for extended periods. In 1970s Japan, latchkey kids were the norm, not the exception. Parents worked long hours. Mothers were increasingly joining the workforce. But childcare was limited. After-school programs barely existed. So kids came home to empty houses. They'd let themselves in with their own key, make their own snacks, do their homework, play, and wait for parents to come home. Sometimes parents worked late into the evening. Kids would be alone for 5, 6, 7 hours. And in rural areas, if parents had to travel for work, kids would sometimes stay home alone for an entire weekend. Older siblings, maybe 12 or 13, would take care of younger ones. This wasn't seen as neglect. It was seen as building independence. Kids learned to take care of themselves. They cooked simple meals, cleaned up, managed their time. But from a modern child safety perspective, this is problematic. Most countries now have laws against leaving young children unsupervised. In some places, you can't leave a kid under 12 alone at all. Psychologists warn about the emotional impact of prolonged isolation. Safety experts point out the risks, fires, accidents, intruders. But in 1970s Japan, millions of kids lived this way, and most turned out fine. The question is, did they turn out fine because of it or despite it? Number 7, corporal punishment in schools. This is a dark one, but it's important to talk about. In 1970s Japan, teachers could and did hit students. Slapping, smacking with rulers, making kids kneel on hard floors for extended periods. These were all legal and widely practiced. If you misbehaved, talked back, or failed to complete your work, physical punishment was a real possibility, and parents supported this. If you came home and told your parents a teacher hit you, the response was often, "You must have deserved it, don't misbehave." This wasn't abuse in the cultural context of the time. It was discipline, strict discipline. Why was this accepted? Japanese education emphasized respect for authority and group harmony. Misbehaving disrupted the class, so punishment was swift and physical. It was also seen as a way to build mental toughness. Life is hard. You need to learn to endure discomfort. But by the 1990s and 2000s, attitudes changed. Japan officially banned corporal punishment in schools. Teachers who hit students now face criminal charges. Today, this would be assault. Illegal. Unacceptable. But in the 70s, it was Tuesday. Number 8. Riding bicycles everywhere without helmets. In 1970s, Japan, kids rode bicycles constantly. To school, to friends' houses, to shops, everywhere. And nobody wore helmets. Not kids, not adults, nobody. Helmets existed, but they were for professional cyclists or motorcyclists. For regular bike riding, unheard of. Kids would ride through busy streets, weave through traffic, race each other down hills. No protective gear at all. Parents didn't worry about it. Kids didn't think about it. It was just how things were. Why no helmets? Cultural attitude toward risk was different. Accidents happened, but the response wasn't ban the activity or add more safety gear. It was be more careful next time. Also, bike helmets for children weren't widely marketed or required by law. They simply weren't part of the culture. Today, most developed countries have laws requiring children to wear helmets. Some places fine parents if their kids ride without them. And for good reason, helmets dramatically reduce head injuries and save lives. But in 1970s, Japan, helmets were for sissies. Or so kids thought. An entire generation rode without them. And yes, injuries happened. But the freedom? Kids remember them. Number 9, playing with toys that would never pass modern safety standards. 1970s. Japanese kids had access to toys that would horrify modern parents. Metal toys with sharp edges. Projectile toys that could actually hurt someone. Chemistry sets with real chemicals. Model rockets with actual rocket fuel. There were toy swords made of hard wood or metal. BB guns that fired plastic pellets. Fireworks sold to kids with minimal supervision. And kids played with these toys. Unsupervised. In streets and parks and empty lots. Parents bought these toys willingly. Toy stores sold them openly. Nobody thought it was dangerous. Why? Because kids were expected to learn boundaries through experience. If you got hurt playing rough, you learned to be more careful. Safety regulations were minimal. Toy companies weren't liable for every injury. Parents took responsibility for supervising their own kids. And kids took responsibility for their own actions. Today, every toy goes through rigorous safety testing. Sharp edges are banned. Projectiles are softened. Chemicals are diluted or removed. And that's probably good. But it also means modern kids don't experience the same kind of hands-on, high-stakes play. 1970s kids built model rockets and launched them into the sky. Today's kids watch YouTube videos of someone else doing it. Different childhoods. Number 10. Staying out until dark without calling home. In the 1970s, Japan, kids would leave the house in the morning and not come back until sunset. Sometimes later. Parents didn't know where they were. There were no cell phones, no tracking devices, no check-ins. You'd tell your mom, "I'm going out to play," and she'd say, Be home before dark. That was it. Kids would roam neighborhoods, explore parks, visit friends, ride bikes to distant areas, all without any contact with parents. If you wanted to stay at a friend's house for dinner, you couldn't call and ask. You just decided and hoped your parents wouldn't be too upset. This level of freedom is unimaginable today. Modern parents want constant updates. Where are you? Who are you with? When will you be home? GPS tracking apps let parents monitor kids' locations in real time. If a kid doesn't respond to a text within 10 minutes, parents panic. But in the 70s, this freedom was normal. Kids learned to navigate the world independently. They made decisions without parental input. They learned from mistakes. Was it safer? No. Kids got lost sometimes. Kids got into trouble. But they also developed confidence and self-reliance. Today's kids are safer, but are they more capable? That's the question. So, there you have it. 10 things Japanese kids did every single day in the 1970s that would be considered dangerous, irresponsible, or illegal today. Walking to school alone at 6, playing on construction sites, swimming unsupervised, buying cigarettes for parents, working in family shops, staying home alone, getting hit by teachers, riding bikes without helmets, playing with dangerous toys, staying out until dark. None of this was seen as neglect or bad parenting. It was just childhood. So, what changed? Society became more safety conscious. Laws became stricter. Parents became more protective. And in many ways, that's good. Kids today are statistically safer than ever. But something was lost too. Independence, risk-taking, the ability to figure things out on your own. 1970s. Kids grew up fast. They had freedoms modern kids don't. But they also had responsibilities modern kids don't. Which childhood is better? That's not for me to say. But it's worth thinking about. If this journey through Japan's past resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to Japan Time Capsule. We're preserving these memories, and we'd love for you to join us. What surprised you most on this list? Did you experience anything similar in your own childhood? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next time capsule.